Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is a Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 in Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what I mean by that is, plain and simple, I only speak to transportation professionals, you guys. There's no theory on this show. There's none of that. This is brought to you by transportation professionals for transportation professionals. So you can take this information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. I got a very special guest. I'm just going to bring him up right away. We got a couple of things that we might talk about, but he's a good friend of mine. We're just going to shoot the shit for the next 30 minutes and talk about how we can get each other a little bit better out there in the business world. So I got my man, Robert Bain, aka the strongest man in logistics, back on the show. Robert, what's up, brother?
What is going on, man? How are you?
Oh, dude, I'm doing good. Just like with everybody else out there right now, it's, it's go time, it's crunch time. And, it's kind of always that way for me at the end of the day. I've been saying this a lot lately. When you're an entrepreneur, you're essentially every morning you wake up, you're broke. You got to go after it and fucking make it happen every single day.
Man, we made doughs we never closed, baby.
Dude, it's the truth, and it's getting, I don't want to say, anything that I'm experiencing right now is like out of the norm, because like it's always hard to develop business. It's always hard to, keep freight moving and everything. And one thing I'm learning a lot this year especially is making my business function better as a business, not as Chris the individual. And because I hired I got a marketing guy now, hired him on. He's working with me, so it's like I'm and building that system up has been great, right? Because it's like now I can just kind of come on, do my show, hand him everything. He chops it up. He, posts it out there, edits it, does all of that stuff for me, so I can get back into the day-to-day and, and then making some real, business decisions on shit, making some changes and assessing my P&L, making sure that it's like I got to improve my margins and stuff like that, because, I gotta make this thing work every single day, and I can't look at it as an employee or as a novelty item. Like, this is a real fucking
business. Not a fucking hobby, man.
Yeah, it's not at all. And those are those things that you kind of learn about.
Yeah. It's funny, Sam, because we talked about this yesterday when we were getting ready for the show. Like that's what we do. Like, for those who don't know, and I work at GLCS, and we're a tech partner, for a lot of our customers, or really we do a lot of assessments around the technology stack, but we also do a lot of operational, a lot of P&L assessment. And when we say assessment, we're looking at where's the exposure, where's our opportunity. And I know those are like all the buzzwords and shit, right? But it's, where can we make you better? Where can we make you stronger? I always, whenever I'm on here, whenever on any show, I do a lot of equations to the gym, right? And you get to a point where like you're running, you're going, and like your body's naturally strong on some level. But you're going to hit a point where like, oh, there's the weak point. Like if you ever see somebody who kind of tilts forward when they squat, all right, your mid back is garbage. We got to get you, get your mid back stronger. We got to make sure you're tighter onto the bar. So you start to look at, and the devil's in those little details. That is the difference between, average Joe, I think I want to be strong, but I'm not sure. And they cringe when they see 3 plates, to somebody who's going to approach 1,100 pounds and say, let's take it for a ride today, see what the fuck happens. There's a difference, right? But there's little things that go in. It's no different than your business, where it's, do you understand your cost to serve? Have you de-risked your network on some level with your carrier providers? Are you using the right tools? Are you using them effectively? I mean, I look at some of your sponsors, they're awesome, technology providers, Green Screens, big shout out to the homies there. Are you utilizing those types of tools optimally? That's what I spend all day doing, is talking to our clients, and then, those tech providers. How are they using it, and how can you make it better? How can you make it stronger?
Yeah. And, to put it, a little bit further into what Robert does, Robert works with a lot of trucking companies. All right. He works with a lot of fleets and everything. So I just want to put this out there, and I try and balance this out, because I got a lot of drivers who follow me. and listen into this show. And I don't just talk about freight brokerage on this show or freight sales, you guys. Like we're here to make people's lives better overall in their business. And this is a lot of this stuff is applicable to every business of every size, right? Because if you're an owner operator, you have some form of technology that you're paying for every month, whether it's your ELDs, maybe you're invoicing, whatever that looks like. And are you optimizing a lot of that stuff? And it's the same thing here in my business, right? Like I have one employee for the media side of stuff, and then it's me and my business partner on the brokerage side of things. And again, it's like, hey, with our technology, how are we optimizing our operations? So again, I like to be brutally honest with people. Like I don't have some massive organization and teams of 50, 100 people out there. Like this is legitimately the building blocks of this stuff. And these are the things that we think about, because how do we grow and scale our business from a lean perspective, right? Because I'm not implementing technology or utilizing technology to replace people. I'm doing it to optimize my team when we hire, that they're going to have the best tech stack to increase their output, to make themselves the most amount of money, because I don't believe in cap commissions, and I'll never do that. Because like, how you want to disincentivize somebody, especially a true killer sales rep, tell them they can only make X amount in a year. That'll kill their productivity. So it's like, we're assessing a lot of this stuff, man, because it's like, I want to set people up for success in the long term. But again, I also need to know the technology that I'm paying for. Because yes, I have a small business. I have a P&L that I have to follow. Okay. And I need to make sure that every dollar I'm investing in my business every single month, that there's a tangible ROI to that.
100%. And that's a conversation we're having every single day with our clients of what, hey, what's going on, Steve? Every single client we talk to is like, where are dollars going? If you don't know where your dollars are going, that's one massive issue. Like there's a huge issue. If you don't understand the path they're taking, that's another one. That's where, when I talk about double the details, that's really where I talk to people, because you ultimately see the money that goes in, goes out. You see it on your bank statement, right?
Yep.
But do you know truly where it's going out to? Is it going out to, again, to a carrier, to your reps, is it going to the ether? Is it soft money where we're spending our time to cover XYZ when we could be leveraging good carrier partners and good technology? Or if you're a carrier, I have some key relationships with customers, and maybe it's 3PLs that fill my network, and I'm not wasting time trying to cover ABC. I'm doing revenue generating activities in my business. And you mentioned already, incentivizing people. Listen, at the end of the day, people do what you pay them to do. And that goes across the board. Whatever you pay them to do, they're going to do. Punishment will work sometimes, but it's what you pay them to do, they will do, and they will do to the utmost.
Yeah. Dude, how are you, you're working with fleet and trucking companies, tech stacks and stuff like that. How many of them maybe invested in the wrong technology early on? Maybe they signed up for something that had its clear shelf limitations, but they looked at it as, hey, it only cost me X, and they didn't necessarily see a few years down the line. Are you working with people from that perspective, where it's just like, hey, we should probably reassess our TMS, or maybe our maintenance program, or whatever that looks like, because hey, we're at 5 trucks. You're sitting here telling me you want to get to 15, but your current technology caps you at 7 trucks max.
Yeah, sure. So we look at that. We look at again, where the redundancies. We've seen it with some, like maybe some larger fleets. It's a good example, but then I'll take it down market a little bit to the smaller fleets. You got somebody who's got a TMS. They've got their own portal that they've built that the company ingests data into. They've also got some type of BI portal that they purchased. They've also got a Tableau. So they've got a few different redundancies in there. And so it's like, well, you look at that. Why do you have those things? Oh, well, somebody created a workaround because we couldn't extract this piece of data. Well, the data is in your system. Like, you can find it. Like, it's not hard. Well, it can be hard. You just need to understand it. What I see a lot of, to answer the initial question, is people see the shiny object, and it can do the things they want it to do. And it will do it in the future as well. But they don't prep for both the original implementation and how you continue to evolve your organization. I
Yeah.
think I was on the show a few months ago when I talked about this. The TMS that you got 5 years ago may not be the TMS for you, or it may not be the version you need.
Hmm.
And then if you're looking at, an operating system as a small carrier, again, the TMS that you use, the operating system you may use, it is going to be different at 5 trucks, at 10, at 25, at 50. It may be the same one, but it's going to be a different version. You're going to have different bells and whistles. That's the conversation we have a lot of is it the right one? Sometimes it's not. Hey, listen, like if you're on an AS400 system, they're powerful, they're awesome, they store a lot of data, and you've had them for a long time. You might want to look at some other options.
Yeah. Dude, I think that a lot of people need to be looking at. I mean, again, I try and go through my P&L as much as I possibly can, and then find out, A, what are we paying for every single month, and then
Mhm.
B, I'll ask my guy, my guy Christian. I'm like, before we go, because we were actually just in the process of looking at some new software for editing and social media work. But
Mhm.
I told him, I'm like, hey, man, I need you to go through everything that we pay for here. What are you using? What are you not using? What does this actually have an overlap with? Because I'm not against spending money. I'm actually all about lacing up my people with as much as they need, but I don't want redundancies on my P&L because like I'm in a very, I don't want to call it a fragile spot, but I'm in the building stages, man. I don't have a budget meeting every single month where I was like, all right, we got $7 million to spend on tech. Go fucking. But even then, you can't frivolously throw dollars out there because a lot of the discipline that I'm trying to implement and adhere to early on is the exact same discipline we're going to have in place when we're a 10, $100 billion organization because I bootstrap everything. I don't intend on taking on investment. I plan on fucking doing this and building this up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's something that needs to be done, especially as you grow. If nothing else, every other year, but realistically annually, do an inventory. What are you utilizing,
Mhm.
and how are you utilizing it? And if you're not talking to your seat level people about how they utilize tech, one of the things that I see quite a bit is, and this is going to be kind of wide ranging here. Like you and I have talked about training a ton, like training
Yeah.
in the industry, right? Because it's one of the most important things you can do. How do you train people? You got to train thought process. You got to train the basics of how to slang freight, how to move, how to run a trucking company properly. There's awesome resources for these things, but you have to do that base level work. The thought process around training can't be all right. We need to get this person on the floor making money as fast as possible. Yes, it's something you need to do, but it's not the primary thing. You need to make sure they understand what they're doing because then what happens is when they see your TMS and go, I have no idea what is in front of me. A good example, it's a great system with like TMW. Trimble and TMW has an incredible product. It's very strong, it's very powerful. But if you sat like one of my kids in front of it, they would have no clue how to use it.
Mhm.
None. Because they don't have the baseline education. And they also don't necessarily have the resources to say, hey, like who do I even call to help me with this? So when you have this combination of new people figuring out workarounds, because ultimately what are they measured on? They're measured on their production. So people do what you pay them to do. They're going to figure out ways to do what they need to do to make money. That also then inherently creates the limitations on, to your point earlier, how much they can make, how much they can do. So our whole job, what we come in to do with these technology is, hey, how do we unbind you from all this stuff so that you can sprint a lot faster? And again, you got strong individuals, great seat level folks, but if they don't have the right baseline knowledge of process and technology, they're going to be very, very limited in what they can do. And unfortunately, I think in the industry, we've lost great people to other industries because of that.
Do you think, I don't want to say technology's run its course in freight, but do you think that there's almost too much out there that doesn't necessarily solve an issue?
I'm going to quote the great Chad Olson: "Don't try to solve issues that you made."
Yeah, that's
That's what I see a lot of tech is it's solving problems that the original developers created for themselves.
yeah.
And so that said, I don't think there's too much tech. I don't know if there's a cap on how much tech you get, but I don't think there's too much. What I do think is there's too many people trying to do the same thing.
Mhm.
And ultimately, what do you need when you're running a trucking company, you're gonna need if you're an owner operator, single guy, or single individual, you're gonna have an ELD, you're gonna have some type of tax software and some banking software. Maybe those two are combined. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
And and then you've got some operating system, more than likely an Android or an iOS, because that's where you're accessing your freight, and it's where you're contacting and using your whoever your partners are, whether they are customers or whether they are 3PLs, which are technically customers, but it's going to be looked at a little differently. Same thing with the brokerage. You're going to have some type of operating system, and to be fair, when you start, a spreadsheet is fine. It's okay. Like when you got 10 loads to move every day, you're good.
Dude, I was just talking about this yesterday on the show. I showed people like how do you prospect for free, right? Because lead generation software, I get a DM or fucking an email about that every other day. And I mean, fortunately, I can afford it, right? Is it great to have it? Yeah, it is great to have it. But I showed everybody how I've built it up in the past. I even put it up on my screen, the exact format that I use in Excel and how I track leads and putting them in there and doing that and following it line by line. Like really, ultimately.
So wait, so you didn't just put it on a whiteboard and then post it on LinkedIn and said, I did all this stuff?
No. I showed people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And then you didn't tell everybody you made $250,000 in a day off one customer, and then 2 weeks later make a post about cost another customer an extra $140 million over 7 years?
No,
You didn't do that?
I must. I don't know if you're actually being literal right now. I must have missed that because I tend to not be on social media all that often.
I will send you the screenshots because remember, kids, screenshots live forever.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, dude, I just want to show people about how to be resourceful out there because, like, I know the amount of vendors that I get hit with, and that's why I can sympathize with all my prospects that I call when they're super. But like, I can sympathize with that, but I also want to show people like, hey, you can be extremely resourceful with what you have. And that was, it was as simple as buying a web domain from GoDaddy or whomever that's out there, getting, you'll have a Microsoft Outlook email account through that. Everything will look official and it literally might cost you $250 for the year. And then what other opportunities does that open you up? And that's why it's like, I think as you kind of come up, and I'm caught up in this. I was caught up in this in 21 and 22 when I was doing really well revenue-wise. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the shiny object syndrome. That looks good. That looks good. And then I was looking out there, and then I remember it was in May of 2023. Apparently, I signed up for everything in fucking May of 2022. All of a sudden, within like a 2-week span, I had like $2,800 worth of shit get renewed on my credit card. And I'm like, what the fuck did I sign up for here?
Yep.
So, and I went in and I had to pilfer my P&L and I had to look through everything line by line. And I'm like, fuck, I can't get caught up in that again. And some of you might be like, oh, $2,800. That's not much. I'm like, but it kind of is when you're dollar in, dollar out. $2,800.
Here's what I tell people. If $2,800 was thrown on the ground right now, I'm still going to fight you for it. I'm going to.
Yeah.
So when you tell me it's not a lot of money, it is. It is to a small business. It is to any business. And let's be real. If you cost your company $2,800, you're gonna have a conversation with your boss.
Yeah.
So
no,
but you're right. That shiny object syndrome is it's scary because it's and what we're gonna see. I'm gonna call it right now. So when your editing guy goes through this, here's the clip. We're about to get into the next evolution of shiny object syndrome. The market is beginning to turn. We've seen all the signs. Is it perfect? No. Are there still things that have to happen? Absolutely. But we're seeing the positive signs. When it comes to imports, when it comes to unfortunately, when you see capacity leaving the market, rates they're not dropping as drastically. They're also starting to creep up in some instances. I don't believe that we had the early peak season. I don't believe that at all. Actually, I think there's going to be another peak. So I hate to break it to everybody that thinks that they called that. But we're going to see shiny object syndrome because what you're going to see is people's pockets are going to get lined over the next 18 months. And they're going to start eating fat again. And they're going to go, oh, I can get this. I can get this. I can get this. You hit it right on the head. The discipline you develop now when times are lean are what truly make an organization impervious to the market conditions.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's exactly it, right? Because it's like, I don't want to go back, or I'm not going back, bro, to where I was when I first started. And the uncertainty that comes along with, how am I going to pay for this, or how, my bills are due and I don't have the money coming in and all that stuff. Like, I'm telling you guys, you need to exercise this discipline continuously. You need to treat this as an actual business, because that's what it boils down to, right? And nobody's going to advocate for your business but you. And guess what, you guys? Nobody fucking cares whether your business succeeds or fails but you. All right. So it is on you to take.
Wait. The politicians don't care? No.
Ironically, they want to raise your taxes so they can continue to spend fucking frivolously, and that's what. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. We can talk taxes here for a little bit, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely.
That most people don't actually comprehend is their taxes in their business and setting aside money throughout the year, because you sit there and think, you're like, oh, I grossed $10,000 this week. I can spend $10,000. And yeah, I mean, you technically can if you're itemizing it properly, but you want to actually have profit in your business, right? That's a big key thing there.
By the way, if you don't keep showing profit in your business, the IRS doesn't like that.
Exactly. But I look at it as like, are you setting enough aside for taxes? Are you paying attention to what tax laws are being passed? Are you prepared for that? Because there's a lot of shit that is going to be happening in January of 2025 that I don't think a lot of people are even considering yet. And there's a lot weighing on this election. All right. I don't talk politics on this show as much as I probably should, but there's a lot weighing on this. I mean, if you look at capital gains tax, if you look at a lot of this stuff that's being talked about, I don't think, to put it bluntly, all right, Kamala Harris is talking about capital gains tax a lot here and increasing that, might I add. So, if you buy an asset, a fixed asset, all right. So like, let's use the trucking market, for example, here. When all of those people bought used trucks for $50,000, okay, then the valuation of all of those trucks increased to $75,000 or $100,000. That money is now a taxable gain. Okay. And that is what you're going to get taxed on.
And you don't have that money in the bank.
Exactly. But guess what? If that like say that happens in the next 12 months, all right, your truck increases $50,000 in value. For easy math, you got to have $25,000 set aside for taxes on that, because it's like a damn near 50% capital gains tax is what they're implementing here, or looking to advocate for. Say that same truck then in 2026 now is worth $25,000. You don't get that money back. All right. So that your business is a fixed asset. All right. Excuse me. It's not a fixed. It's an asset. All right. Your equipment are assets. If you get any fucking gains on that shit at all, that is what they're talking about taxing. Okay. So pay attention to this shit, you guys. There's a lot fucking out there that you guys need to be aware of. This is why it's like I've had my CPA come on the show in the past to talk to people about this stuff. And that's another thing too, you guys. If you don't have a CPA, or if you're just fucking winging it on your taxes, their weight in gold. The right CPA will fucking save you tens of thousands of dollars a year if you fucking know what you're asking.
And they will hedge the business that you're building. That's the thing I don't think a lot of people truly recognize when they look at the financials of their business is you can look how many people we've seen do this. 2020, 2021 into 2022, you saw business skyrocket to $100 million. Guys that you would like, how on earth did they do that? And they're sitting now at 22, 23 million because they didn't hedge anything. They just thought it was going to be a ride. And I call them surfers now because they just ride the waves, right?
Yeah.
But again, when you have the right financial professionals and professionals in general around you, again, you don't have to have a 100-person organization to require one of these types of folks. You can be a one-person show. And you need a tax professional. You need a good fucking lawyer.
Yes.
And then if you're going to do anything public facing, you need some type of like person you can, maybe your attorney, but some people you can bounce PR stuff off of. Again, all of us have our tolerance for what we say and what we do, right? You need someone you can bounce that off. Say, hey, is there anything that this is going to get me in trouble for? Great example of this. CDL Life is about to have their ass handed to them because they inadvertently almost destroyed the company Logiflex here in Chicago. I don't know if you saw this. This made the rounds again.
I didn't.
There was an accident last year, and I'm talking about this because one, their CEO, he's a great dude. They're one of the good ones, even though they check a lot of the boxes of like, oh, they're one of the typical Chicago carriers. They are one of the good ones. They're a great outfit, good fucking people there at Logiflex. So this photo is of a tractor that guy was on his phone on fucking TikTok.
Uh-huh.
Runs into 3 cars, kills 5 people. Everything bursts into flames. And what do you see? You see the Logiflex trailer as the centerpiece of this photo.
Uh-oh.
They were the ones who were rear-ended with these 3 cars underneath them.
Oh, shit.
But what happens as soon as a shipper sees that? That's one of my providers, gone.
Ooh.
And in none of the articles until our friend Cassandra Gaines called out CDL Life and said, hey, like, you're ruining somebody's business, because that picture that they initially published then made it to MSNBC, CNN, Yahoo.
Oh, shit. It got that?
It went that fast. So, and it's resurfaced again. And so dude, you need somebody who's going to be, because now CDL Life is like, oh, hey, we're fine. No big deal. We'll issue a retraction. No, man, you're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah. Jeez, man. That's brutal. I didn't even see that.
I'll send the article in a little bit.
Yeah.
I won't name the other company that was involved. They are also based here in Chicago. And
yeah, I know.
It's no bueno.
Yeah. But I guess a lot of it, my thing is you need to use a lot of these markets, a lot of these scenarios that you're going through as very teachable opportunities. And then, because again, man, like, I don't want to be in this situation, I want to grow my company. I want to, I have very lofty goals for what I'm going to do in business. And, this is what I signed up for and everything. And I think that that's what a lot of people need to realize is, hey, when you sign up to start your trucking company or your freight brokerage or anything else, it's on you to get a better understanding of how you can improve in your business and everything else. And, and this is why it's like, I want to, this is why I do this show. Ultimately, man, I want to put this information out there. So hopefully this gets people thinking about it. And then they don't like this. They don't have to sign up for some bullshit course, because that's like, that's my ultimate mission is to kill off all these bullshit courses that are out there that drain tens of thousands of dollars from people's bank accounts that don't teach them fucking anything.
Listen, man, I got 3 spots left.
What's that?
I got three coaching spots left.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. But dude, so I mean, let's spend the last couple of minutes here. Broker Carrier Summit's coming up in October. So we're coming up on that in the next 60 days here.
Yep. Yeah, it's exciting, man. We've got the agenda finalized. All the keynote speakers are locked in. We announced that. Very excited for all the folks we're going to have. I'll go with it. I'm excited to listen to Andrew Silver talk. I am. It's gonna be cool.
Oh, is he speaking there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm really stoked for that. What I love about Broker Carrier Summit, and actually another commercial for this, I love the fact that you got brokers and carriers sitting right next to each other. They're talking business. I mean, we had this happen in Kansas City where guys met at the kickoff event on Monday night, and Tuesday morning, freight was being tendered to the carrier. Mm-hmm. That's the dream, right? That you have stuff like that. And there are guys that have attended all the broker carrier summits. They've gotten new carriers. They've gotten new broker customers out of this. They've secured dedicated business. And you mentioned earlier, you can work with your customers and you want to secure them, but you're capped as far as how many trucks you can get. These are guys that they're buying more equipment because, like, hey, I've got dedicated business even with my broker customers, and I now have to go get more trucks. Yeah. And so it creates this flywheel. And by the way, we have technology providers there too that support the industry, and they're there to help these guys grow too. And so we're able to create these tracks, these workshops that teach all the stuff that you would and I've been talking about for 30 minutes over the course of a day and a half. And we instituted new pricing for carriers because, again, we want more carriers there. We would love to see a 2-to-1 carrier to broker provider ratio, because small and medium-sized carriers are who truly need this. Ultimately, like, if you're a broker, what do? You resell capacity. So you need these carriers, and these carriers, we want the good ones to be highlighted, because unfortunately too many of the bad ones do get highlighted.
I know, man. I'm right there with you, man. That's another thing that I want to end is I want to highlight the right providers that are out there. But well, all right, you guys, that's going to be it for today. We got my man Cam coming on tomorrow. We're going to be talking insurance. We're going to be talking about truck insurance and everything else coming up here. Robert, how does anybody reach out to you to find out more about what you got going on, man?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn, Robert Bain, Strongest Man in Logistics. You can hit me email, rbain@glcs.net. If you want to watch the whole Strongest Man in Logistics thing, hop on Instagram at Bain316. The content's always interesting.
It is, dude. I love it out there. But hey, man, I appreciate you joining me. As always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.